Hi, I'm Brian White, filling in for Buck Levasseur. Relatively speaking, predator hunting is a fairly new sport here in the UP, dating back to the first organized competition back in 2003. It includes bobcats, fox, and the most common target, coyotes. We'll talk with one hunter about using predator calls to trick a coyote into your crosshairs. And we'll talk to the DNR to get the scoop on using bait.
Can an individual use a roadkill deer they come across to predator hunt over?
And we'll check out the Ontonagon Valley Sportsmen's Club's Predator Roundup, which turned out to be their biggest yet.
This year we hit a new record. We had total hunters this year at 209.
Then a quick trip to the gunsmith to find out a bit about putting a value to your guns.
Oftentimes a customer will come in with an old firearm and want to establish a value on it.
Then on tonight's Only in the UP segment, exciting racing action, crashes, and a year's worth of planning.
Keep her light, keep the frame together nice and tight. But it's built for speed, the skis are waxed.
It all comes down to this day as folks from near and far travel to Trenary to be part of the 20th ever Outhouse Classic. That's all right here, right now, on Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forests thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. Call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill. The eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
Coyotes are crafty varmints with superb senses. Hunters must study and learn their habits if they have any hope of tricking one into their crosshairs. I tagged along with Rick Hansen for a quick lesson in hunting predators using an electronic call.
I got a remote control call. It's good for about 300 yards. And I have I call it a bunny here. It's a spinner. I set that up with the call, typically about 100 yards away. I like to set up in a crosswind, so because the predator's going to circle around and come into the wind almost 95% of the time. So when I set it up, I'll set these two usually about 100 yards away. And I usually like to have a buddy with me, probably, maybe 400 or 500 yards downwind. So maybe we can ambush the coyote as it comes in, circle this. I use this, I like this because it coyote focuses on this and not me. Okay, I got my bunny set up probably about 100 yards with my call. I got a crosswind in front of me. I got a plowed road on both sides of me here. And coyotes kind of lazy. If they come out to the call, they'll run that road. So after about 5-10 minutes of sitting, I'll start my rabbit and distress call at a low level in case there's something close by. I don't want to spook it out of here. So I'll start that now. And it runs for about 30 seconds. And then it shuts off for about 20 seconds, and it'll go for another 30 seconds. I'll call like that for about 5-10 minutes on a low volume, and then I'll start cranking it up as I sit longer. So I haven't seen nothing now. It's 20 minutes gone by, half hour has gone by. I haven't seen nothing, so evidently there's no bobcat or fox around. So I'll start with the coyote howl and see if I get a response out of female. I'll let that play for maybe 2 or 3 yelps, and I'll sit for 15 minutes and see if I get a response. Lots of times they'll come in and they won't say a word. They'll just circle right around you and come right in. And if they smell you, they'll turn on a dime and go. So if I don't get a response with that, I'll try my coyote melody, and this one here, they respond to this one pretty good. And the biggest thing is just patience. Just sit and wait. Enjoy being outside. I wear white camo most of the time. I like to blend in with the snow, be hidden as much as possible. I stay out of the sunlight so they can't see my gun or any kind of movement from me. I use a H&R 17 Savage. It's a pretty reliable, pretty accurate gun. I have a Sweet 17 BSA scope on it. It's set for 100 yards, and then the dial on top here, as your coyote the further away 100 yards, you just adjust your top knob here, and it's good up to 300 yards.
Another method commonly used is to hunt over bait. And if your deer blind happens to be in an area that might work, it's not a bad place to sit. Bait can consist of anything that'll draw on a coyote, but by far the most commonly used bait is a roadkill deer carcass.
The question has come up quite a bit with the popularity of these predator hunts is, can an individual use a roadkill deer they come across to predator hunt over? And the answer is yes. You may use a roadkill deer you come across to predator hunt over. For instance, a lot of the predator hunts for coyotes is the example we'll use. How do you legally do that? How do you legally obtain the roadkill permit? It's a very simple process. Just remember, you cannot possess a roadkill deer without the proper permit for it. We need to be able to identify where that deer came from. If you come across a roadkill deer and you'd like to use it for predator hunting, you need to obtain a highway kill permit. To obtain a highway kill permit, you'll simply need to get a hold of our department, the state police or the sheriff department, and we can issue a highway kill permit which will stay with that carcass and allows us to identify where it was taken from. One thing to remember with that is you cannot pick up that deer, bring it back to your house and obtain a permit after the fact, because you'll be in possession of that deer without a permit for it. So it's a very simple process, and it can be done to hunt predators over. You may also use a deer you harvested during deer season. The key to remember is you have to be in legal possession of it and also have a tag to identify it for us, hence a kill tag or a highway kill permit.
Being there when the coyotes are might be the toughest part. They can strip a deer carcass in no time at all. And if you're not there, you'll find nothing but the remnants of a rib cage and a hide. Whether you're using a predator call, hunting over bait, or both, predator hunting is a great way to get into the outdoors during the long wait for spring gobblers. I stopped in at Hoppy's Bar in Kenton for the final day of the Ontonagon Valley Sportsmen's Club's Predator Roundup, where record number 209 hunters had been doing just that.
This year is our 8th year with the hunt, and it's grown in popularity every year. We started out with 71 hunters, and the most we ever had was 164. And this year we hit a new record. We had total hunters this year at 209. Just fabulous. The UP Predator Challenge started about 10 years ago. Started raising the interest in it. Buck Levasseur on his program heightened the interest. Pete got the hunters out there. And I can remember when we held our first hunt 8 years ago, a couple hunters behind me were talking about their experiences, and one of them said, you know, he said, this was even better than deer hunting. And I looked at Pete Heidemann, our president, across the table, and I said, my goodness, what have we created? And it's just been fantastic. Our hunt is the only hunt in the UP that allows, I think, up to 4 team members. We encourage youth to participate. We've always charged them only $10 to get into the hunt. This year I have 14 or 15 youth in it, as well as several gals. Another point that we have in our hunt, we are the only hunt that allow the use of dogs. And in the early years, some guys said, well, the use of dogs, that gives somebody an unfair advantage, so we don't want to get into your hunt. But with the dog hunters, they do have to have ideal conditions. And this year might very well be one of those years. A little fresh snow every day. They need that fresh track to get the scent on and get the dogs out there. So we might see them bring in a harvest. So it could be one of the better years for bobcat harvest. Our hunt runs Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, until Sunday at 4 o'clock. Sunday at 4 o'clock, they have to have their harvest in and registered. We require blocks every year. I'm the only person that knows what the blocks are going to be, if they're going to be styrofoam or paper. We provide the blocks and the paper and the ties, and all of their jaws are checked. We have 2 judges. They cut the ties when the animals are brought in to check and make sure the jaws haven't been broken, that rigor mortis is set in, and that the blocks are set to prevent cheating. These are all sportsmen, so probably not a cheater in the bunch, but we're giving away money. We don't want to create a controversy. We want to make sure everybody understands that it's fair. When we first started talking about having it, we're looking for a place, and Jane at Hoppy's Barn, Kenton here, stepped forward and said, if you want to host it here, it'd be a nice central point. Guys in our hunt are coming all the way from Scandia, Iron Mountain, Iron River, Ontonagon, the Copper Country, Bessemer. So it's a nice central location for it. Kudos to Jane and her staff here. They provide all the food for everybody, and it's been a great marriage.
By the time 4 o'clock rolled around, the Predator poll was bowing with a record total of 69 animals harvested. The complete list of animals included 56 coyotes, 8 bobcats, 5 fox, and 1 very nervous dog.
Don't miss the Woodtick Music Festival in Hermansville, Michigan. 4 days of great bluegrass, country, folk, blues, and rock and roll. Over 25 bands, fun for the entire family. Carry-ins welcome, kids 12 and under free. Buy your tickets and campsites and find out everything you need to know online at woodtickfestival.com. That's woodtickfestival.com. The Woodtick Music Festival in Hermansville, Michigan.
Very often I get customers that call and want to inquire about what a value of their particular firearm is. Initially, what we need to establish is what the actual brand or manufacturer of the gun is, whether it be Winchester, Remington, Ruger, any of the various manufacturers. But we have to establish what the actual manufacturer was for that firearm. And then we have to establish what the actual model number is for that particular firearm. Most of the time listed on the firearm is the actual model number and the actual brand of the firearm, as well as the caliber of that particular firearm. Those are all pieces of information that we would need to know in order to establish what it actually is that they have as a firearm. And then from there, I can only, over the phone, give a range of prices because I don't have the firearm right in hand to look at it and see what the quality is. So all we can establish is that it falls into a range of 6 different grades, anywhere from new in the box to poor condition, in which case the gun doesn't necessarily have to be safe to fire and doesn't necessarily have to function. So we've got a range that this firearm could fall within. But I can't see that over the phone, so the best I can do is give what the range of prices would be for that particular firearm. If, in fact, the customer then brings the firearm into the shop so that we can look it over, we can determine what the condition of the bluing is, what the condition of the operation of the firearm is. Is it safe to shoot? Does it all function? What the condition of the stock is in. All those are factors that have to be considered into what the actual value of that particular firearm happens to be. Also, you have to establish if the firearm has been modified from its original condition. Have there been aftermarket modifications made to the firearm, parts added that were non-factory, and all of that is factored in the various grades of the firearms. As an example, this particular rifle, if we look at the metal condition, there's pitting and the front sight that was on it originally is not there. The rear sight has been removed, and there have been quite a few modifications made to this particular firearm because it was a military gun originally, and somebody decided to sporterize it. So we don't even have the original bolt handle that it had when it came from the factory. It has a different safety on it. Also, the stock is not original. It's been modified and not done particularly well for the inletting of the barrel channel to accommodate the sporterized version. Also, the stock has significant wear where the finish has been worn off from it. And so all of these factors have to be considered when trying to establish the value of the firearm. Oftentimes, a customer will come in with an old firearm and want to establish a value on it because they think because it's old, it's worth a whole lot of money. And that may or may not be the case. A lot of the old side-by-side shotguns, like this particular one, were hardware store guns. They were sold at the local hardware store. They ordered out a certain number of them, and the company that built the firearm put the hardware store name on it. It was never a super high value, well-made shotgun, but it was utilitarian. So there's a lot of them out there, but just because they're old does not necessarily mean that they're worth a significant amount of money, although there is the rare case where you might come across one that is. A lot of those hardware store guns were stored in the corner in the barn for shooting various critters that might invade the barn. So the condition of those very often is pretty poor. So just because it's old does not mean that it's necessarily a super valuable firearm. With handguns, whether they be revolvers or semi-auto pistols, the same factors that we had to consider on the rifles and shotguns must be considered in establishing the values for handguns.
It's time for Only in the UP, the segment of the show that highlights the friendly, creative, crafty, and inventive spirit of those of us who live here. It's about that stuff that makes the UP the greatest place on earth to live.
You know, we're not going to go too fast, and we don't want to brag.
Keep her light, keep the frame together, nice and tight, but it's built for speed. The skis are whacked.
Outhouse Classic race started 20 years ago by the man named Toivo Aho. The first year they ran down the sidewalk. We have 12 very crude racers. Since then it has boomed in Trenary's little Mardi Gras of the UP.
You know, everybody makes fun of me when I say, well, there's a lot of preparation that goes into getting ready for the Outhouse Classic, but you know, I usually start my P90X regiment about 60 or 90 days ahead of time and get ready, get in shape, and get ready to run down the track. And so hopefully it's successful again this year.
Many vendors here. There's all kinds of foods. We have a fur trader that sells hats. There's a lot of spectators. There's 50-50 going on. All these proceeds raised from this event go back into the community. We have a scholarship every year for Superior Central for some lucky student in Toivo's memory. And this Outhouse Classic has just grown from a town of 400 people. It swells to 2,500 to 4,000 people on the day of. People just come from far away. It's something to do in the dead of winter when there's nothing else. And face it, not many places can you go to have an outhouse race.
And I'm from Frankfort, Indiana, about 500 miles from here. We come every year. It's my 10th year. I have a ball up here. I just have a ball. And we tailgate a little and we party a little and we just have a good time. This year my wife's going to please with me. We're just going to walk the track just to say she did it with me once.
We've had people break ankles, break legs, fall down. One guy had a heart attack. It's a hard job pushing, but it's fun and they have a lot of prize money. Kids race goes first, and after the kids go the old farts, 50 and over. Outhouse race, you cannot have any metal on your skis. You do have to have a toilet seat and a roll of toilet paper in your outhouse. 2 people push it. No one can ride in the outhouse.
That's it.
Them 2x2s and foam board there, keep her light.
The track looks pretty bumpy. A little rough, couple of jumps. We'll see how it goes. hopefully it gets a little straightened out by the time we hit it mid race. So we hope to at least get to the finish line. If it's fast, just we luck out then. But rolling dice from this point on.
Well, we drank a lot of mugs of beer, and we came up with this idea over the last 2 years coming to Trenary, and it just had to be done. This was the year. We're ready to go.
Yep.
It's aerodynamic, it's good, it's fast.
It's 7 foot. Down here we have kids cross-country skis, waxed to perfection. Down inside the toilet is actually the beer cooler. Now we don't want to leave all the competition in the dust.
Keep it a little average. So we're well stocked and ready to race.
Oh yes, and we're going to be fast.
Well, I think we had a lot of support from our pit crew.
Yeah, everybody helped us get on the track. It was a lot of fun.
We're gonna hydrate for about another hour or two.
Yeah, definitely
have fun here in Trenary.
Gonna catch our breath.
Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Monday night, right here on Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.